The rain tapped gently against the window as I sat at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that only comes when the kids are at school and the world outside seems to pause for a moment. I glanced at the clock, 10:15 a.m. I had a few hours before the chaos of the afternoon would begin. But for now, it was just me, my thoughts, and the faint hum of the refrigerator. The doorbell rang, breaking the silence. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I hesitated for a moment before getting up. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a delivery man holding a large, ornate envelope. It was addressed to me, but the return address made my stomach drop. It was from my sister, Claire. I hadn't spoken to Claire in months. Not since the last family gathering, where she had made it abundantly clear that my children, my sweet, kind, hard-working children, were not welcome in her world. I could still hear her voice, cold and dismissive, as she explained that my kids didn't fit in with her social circle, that they were too poor to attend her son's birthday party, that they would embarrass her in front of her wealthy friends. I took the envelope from the delivery man and closed the door, my hands trembling slightly. I didn't want to open it. I didn't want to face whatever judgment or condescension Claire had decided to send my way this time. But curiosity got the better of me, and I carefully tore open the envelope. Inside was an invitation. Not just any invitation. It was for a gala event at Claire's country club. The kind of event where people wore designer gowns and sipped champagne while discussing their latest investments. The kind of event where my family would stick out like a sore thumb. I stared at the invitation, my heart pounding. Why would Claire invite us to something like this? After everything she had said, after the way she had treated my children, why would she want us there? I flipped the invitation over, looking for some kind of explanation. And then I saw it, a small note scribbled in Claire's handwriting at the bottom. Emma, I know we've had our differences, but I think it's time we put the past behind us. This event is important to me, and I'd like you and your family to be there. Let's start fresh. I read the note twice, trying to make sense of it. Claire had never been one to apologize or admit she was wrong. So why now? What had changed? I set the invitation down on the table and took a deep breath. My mind was racing. Should I go? Should I give Claire another chance? Or was this just another way for her to assert her superiority over me? I thought about my kids, my daughter, Lily, who had just turned 16 and was already more mature and compassionate than most adults I knew. And my son, Jake, who was working tirelessly to earn a scholarship to college, despite the fact that we couldn't afford to send him without one. They didn't deserve to be treated like second-class citizens. They didn't deserve to be excluded because we didn't have the same kind of money as Claire. But at the same time, I couldn't help but wonder if this was a genuine attempt at reconciliation. Maybe Claire had realized how wrong she had been. Maybe she wanted to make amends. I picked up my phone and dialed my husband, Mark. He answered on the second ring. Hey, what's up? He asked, his voice calm and steady as always. I just got an invitation from Claire, I said, my voice shaking slightly, to some gala event at her country club. There was a pause on the other end of the line. And, Mark asked cautiously, and she wants us to come. She says she wants to start fresh. Mark sighed. Emma, you know how Claire is. She's always been about appearances. Are you sure this isn't just another way for her to show off? I don't know, I admitted. But what if she's serious? What if she really wants to make things right? Mark was silent for a moment. It's up to you, he said finally. But whatever you decide, I'll support you. Just remember, our kids come first. If Claire can't accept them for who they are, then she doesn't deserve to be in their lives. I nodded, even though Mark couldn't see me. I know, I said softly. I want to believe that she's changed, that she's finally realized how wrong she was. I get that, Mark said. But be careful, okay? Don't let her hurt you or the kids again. I won't, I promised. I'll think about it. We said our goodbyes, and I hung up the phone, feeling more conflicted than ever. I looked at the invitation again, the fancy script and gold embossing mocking me. Could I really trust Claire? Or was this just another one of her games? The days passed, and I couldn't stop thinking about the invitation. I talked to Lily and Jake about it, wanting to get their input. They were hesitant, understandably so. Claire had hurt them deeply, and they weren't sure if they were ready to forgive her. "I don't know, Mom," Lily said, her brow furrowed. "Aunt Claire has never been nice to us. Why would she want us at her fancy party now?" "Maybe she's trying to make up for it," I suggested, though even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it myself. Jake shrugged. "I don't care about her party. I just don't want to be around people who think they're better than us." Their words echoed in my mind as I tried to make a decision. In the end, I decided to go. Not because I thought Claire had changed, but because I wanted to give her the chance to prove me wrong. I wanted to believe that family could overcome the divides of money and status. The night of the gala arrived, and I found myself standing in front of the mirror, adjusting the hem of my dress. It wasn't designer, I couldn't afford that, but it was nice enough. Mark stood beside me, looking handsome in his suit, though I could tell he was just as nervous as I was. "Ready?" he asked, offering me his arm. I took a deep breath and nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." We drove to the country club in silence, the tension thick in the air. When we arrived, the valet took our car, and we made our way inside. The place was exactly as I had imagined, opulent, extravagant, and dripping with wealth. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the floors were so polished I could see my reflection in them. Claire was standing near the entrance, greeting guests with her usual poise and grace. She looked stunning, as always, in a sleek black gown that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. When she saw us, her face lit up with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Emma."
"Mark."
"I'm so glad you could make it," she said, air-kissing my cheeks. "And where are the kids?" "They're at home," I said, forcing a smile. They had schoolwork to do. Claire's smile faltered for just a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping to see them. But no matter. You're here, and that's what counts." She ushered us inside, introducing us to her friends and colleagues as we went. I could feel their eyes on us, sizing us up, judging us. I tried to ignore it, focusing instead on the conversation, but it was hard. Every word out of Claire's mouth felt like a subtle dig, a reminder that we didn't belong. As the night wore on, I found myself growing more and more uncomfortable. The people here were so different from the ones I was used to. They talked about things I couldn't relate to: luxury vacations, private schools, and stock portfolios. I felt out of place, like a fish out of water. Mark must have sensed my discomfort because he leaned over and whispered, "Do you want to leave?" I shook my head. "Not yet. Let's give it a little longer." But as the night went on, it became clear that Claire hadn't changed. She was still the same person she had always been, judgmental, condescending, and obsessed with appearances. She didn't care about us. She just wanted to show off, to prove that she could still control us. By the time we left, I was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. I had hoped that Claire would prove me wrong, that she would show me that she had changed. But she hadn't. And I knew then that I couldn't keep letting her hurt me and my family. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy heart. I knew what I had to do, but it wasn't going to be easy. I called Claire and asked her to meet me for coffee. She agreed, though I could hear the hesitation in her voice. We met at a small cafe downtown, far away from the opulence of her country club. Claire looked out of place in her designer clothes, but she didn't seem to notice. She sat down across from me, her expression unreadable. "So, what's this about?" she asked, stirring her latte with a perfectly manicured hand. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Claire, I need to be honest with you. Last night, it was hard for me. I wanted to believe that you had changed, that you really wanted to make things right between us. But I don't think you do." Claire's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about? I invited you to the gala, didn't I? I tried to include you." "Including us isn't the same as accepting us," I said, my voice trembling. "You've always looked down on me and my family because we don't have the same kind of money as you. You've made it clear that you think we're not good enough. And I can't keep letting you do that." Claire's face hardened. "Emma, you're being ridiculous. I've never looked down on you. I just think it's important to maintain certain standards. You can't expect me to lower myself to your level. Her words cut deep, but I refused to let her see how much they hurt. That's exactly what I'm talking about, I said, my voice steady now. You think you're better than us because of your money and your status. But you're not. And I won't let you treat my children like they're less than just because we don't have as much as you. Claire rolled her eyes. Oh, please. You're being dramatic. If you can't handle a little constructive criticism, that's your problem. I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. It's not about criticism, Claire. It's about respect. And until you can treat me and my family with the respect we deserve, I don't think we can have a relationship. Claire stared at me for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. Fine. If that's how you feel, then I guess there's nothing more to say. She turned and walked out of the cafe, leaving me sitting there alone. I felt a lump in my throat, but I refused to cry. I had made the right decision, even if it hurt. The weeks that followed were difficult. I missed Claire, despite everything. She was my sister, after all, and there was a part of me that still loved her. But I knew I had done the right thing by standing up for my family. Then one day, everything changed. I was at home, helping Lily with her homework, when my phone buzzed with a news alert. I glanced at the screen, and my heart stopped. The headline read, "Prominent businessman arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme." I clicked on the article, my hands trembling as I read the details. Claire's husband, Daniel, had been arrested for running a Ponzi scheme. He had been defrauding investors for years, using new investments to pay off old ones while pocketing millions for himself. I felt a mix of emotions, shock, anger, and a strange sense of relief. Claire's perfect world was crumbling around her, and I couldn't help but wonder how she would handle it. A few days later, I got a call from Claire. Her voice was shaky, and I could tell she had been crying. "Emma," she said, her voice breaking. I need your help." I hesitated, unsure of what to say. "What's going on, Claire?" "It's Daniel," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's been arrested. They've frozen all our accounts." I don't know what to do." I felt a pang of sympathy for her, despite everything. "Where are you?" I asked. "I'm at a motel," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't have anywhere else to go." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "I'll come get you," I said finally. "Just stay there, okay?" When I arrived at the motel, I found Claire sitting on the edge of the bed, her face pale and her eyes red from crying. She looked so different from the confident, polished woman I had known, so vulnerable and lost. "Claire," I said softly, sitting down beside her. "I'm here." She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to do, Emma. Everything's gone. The house, the cars, the money, it's all gone." I reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We'll figure it out," I said. "You're not alone." Claire looked at me, her expression a mix of gratitude and shame. I don't deserve your help," she said, her voice breaking. "After everything I've done, you're my sister," I said simply. "And that's what family does." The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Claire and her son, Ethan, moved in with us, and we did our best to help them adjust to their new reality. It wasn't easy. Claire was used to a life of luxury, and she struggled with the simplest tasks. But slowly, she began to change. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Claire looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything. I don't know what I would have done without you." I reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "You're my sister," I said. "And I love you, no matter what." Claire smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes for the first time in years. "I love you too," she said. "And I'm so sorry for everything." As the months passed, Claire continued to change. She got a job at a local library, something she would have once considered beneath her. But she threw herself into it with a determination I had never seen before. She started to reconnect with Ethan, who had been distant and withdrawn since the scandal. and she began to rebuild her relationship with me and my family. One evening, as we sat in the backyard watching the kids play, Claire turned to me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think that money and status were the most important things in life. But I was wrong. It's family. It's love. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life." I smiled, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. "We're family," I said. "And that's all that matters."